Before we begin, I'm going to give you, the viewer, a challenge. This video was one of many Cinemasins videos created to capitalize on the release of a new movie. With that in mind, I want you to guess what movie this was released in celebration of. The answer will be revealed at the end of the video. If you cheat, I'll kill you and make it look like an accident.
Holy shit, what's wrong with us? We will remove 5 sins because we're total assholes for tackling this movie.
Yep.
Sharks that play with their food. I mean, this shark doesn't seem hungry so much as he seems like a Price is Right contestant playing Plinko. Did this shark not, eat her legs or anything yet? Did he just give her a ride around the ocean for a bit? What kind of a dick shark is this?
First of all, those last 3 sins were for the same thing. Second, the shark, which I will call Bruce, isn't playing with its food. It's struggling to eat Chrissy due to her actively trying to fight back. And third, the shark likely has bitten off a chunk of her legs. After all, it's entirely possible for a shark to do that to a human with them being too focused on trying to escape to notice.
I was born and raised on Kauai. I loved the ocean from an early age. Went surfing with my friends when I was 18. Paddled out like any other morning, and tiger shark came up out of nowhere, completely blindsided, grabbed onto both my legs. I didn't feel any pain whatsoever. It felt almost like I was watching it happen to somebody else, like an out-of-body experience in a way. Felt an incredible amount of pressure around my legs. I punched it a few times in the nose, let go. That pressure was released. I got back on my board and started paddling in. And I looked over my shoulder thinking it was a shark finishing me off, and it was my legs severed right off.
Though it's entirely possible that she did notice, and this is her reacting to that and Bruce.
I know a lot of alcohol is involved, but since when does chasing a hot naked chick cause sudden passing out?
Horniness can be powerful, but not as powerful as drugs and alcohol. Also, this was not a sudden passing out. Tom was losing his energy throughout the entire journey to the ocean.
Also, he didn't hear that?
Jeremy, you just said that he passed out. And he's passed out because of drugs and alcohol. He didn't just go to sleep.
I guess whenever a young man has seen ocean violence, you stick him in a room with a deputy and a glass of milk water? What the f*** is that?
It's likely Alka-Seltzer. If you look closely, you can see it bubbling. Tom was likely given some because he's feeling nauseous from seeing a dead body. In the background, you can see Deputy Hendricks dropping a tablet into his own drink. Thank you, commenter.
What else could have done that to that girl? Boat propeller?
Well, I think possibly, yes, a boating
That's
accident.
not what
Brody moved to Amity at least 7 months ago, and this medical examiner's been around God knows how long. But it feels like this is the first time these two have ever been told the town's lifeblood comes from summer tourism. They went about declaring this a shark attack in the most naive way possible, as if there wouldn't be resistance and cover-ups from the mayor and business owners.
This is Brody's first summer in Amity, and he's used to being a cop in New York, an area with a lot more crime.
We're really a little anxious that you're rushing into something serious here. It's your first summer, you know.
What does that mean?
I'm only trying to say that Amity is a summer town. We need summer dollars.
I'm telling you, the crime rate in New York will kill you. There's so many problems, you never feel like you're accomplishing anything. Violence, rip-offs, muggings. Kids can't leave the house. You gotta walk them to school. But in Amity, one man can make a difference. In 25 years, there's never been a shooting or a murder in this town.
Since Brody didn't know how rare sharks were in Amity, he acted with a lot more urgency than Larry. Larry wasn't expecting Brody to ever want to close the beaches, so he had to approach him after the fact.
We never had that kind of trouble in these waters. Well, what else could have done that to that girl? Boat propeller?
Well, I think possibly, yes, a boating
That's
accident.
not what you told me over the phone.
I was wrong. We'll have to amend our reports.
And you'll stand by
I'll
that?
stand by you.
Martin, a summer girl goes swimming. Swims out a little far. She tires. Fishing boat comes along.
It's happened before.
The exact shark.
now there's no other sharks like this in these waters.
It's 100 to 1. 100 to 1. Now, I'm not saying that this is not the shark. It probably is, Martin. It probably is. It's a man-eater. It's extremely rare for these waters.
As for the medical examiner, he was probably equally concerned as Brody at first. Then the mayor likely reminded him that sharks are rarely seen in Amity and convinced him to take another look at the body to make extra sure it was a shark attack. Since he doesn't have Hooper's expertise, or proof of a shark, he was willing to write it off as a boating accident for the sake of everyone's jobs.
All these tasty legs just dangling around in the water for me to eat, but I shall go after the kid on the raft. His mom will be the most pissed.
You say that as if it's impossible for any of these other swimmers to also have family members vengeful enough to put out a bounty. After all, most of them are residents of a beach island that's likely expensive to live in.
Literal fingernails on a chalkboard to get attention, as opposed to half a dozen other better ways to get attention in a crowd of roughly 24 people.
Well, this is Quint. He's quite theatrical.
Also, I know nails across a chalkboard can be annoying, but there's no way this sound pierced all the sound of the dumb people arguing that there's no shark and there totally is one.
I'd agree with you if Quint was in, say, a nightclub, but the citizens are in a tiny room, so the nails on a chalkboard would be easier to hear. Plus, the people right next to Quint definitely heard him, causing them to stop talking. This started a domino effect that silenced everyone in the room. Even then, just because sound A is at a lower volume than sound B doesn't mean it's impossible to hear. For example, right now I am talking at a louder volume level, but you can still hear the living tombstone. This would especially apply to nails on a chalkboard, since it has been scientifically proven to be amplified for human ears.
Dude who definitely used his right hand to scratch a chalk-covered chalkboard immediately uses the same hand to shove food in his mouth, thereby assuring he's eating some amount of chalk.
Considering Quint prides himself with being a dirty working-class hero, I don't think he's concerned about a little chalk.
You got city hands, Mr. Hooper. You've been counting money all your life.
All right. Hey, I don't need this. I don't need this working class hero crap.
Especially considering chalk isn't poisonous in small amounts. To be clear, I'm not saying it's okay to stuff your face with chalk, just don't be too worried if you accidentally get some in your mouth.
He's not on the ocean, he is in a boat. He's not going to go in the water.
If this kid is as scared as you say he is, I highly doubt he'd get that close to the water either.
Well, Michael is in a boat. Since he's a kid, he may be under the illusion that the boat gives him some kind of protection from Bruce. Hell, even adults in this universe don't know the strength of sharks.
But I want him to read the boating regulations, the rules, before he goes out on his own.
Michael! Did you hear your father? Out of the water now! Now!
Flash foreshadowing.
I mean, that is pretty good foreshadowing. The audience doesn't even know it's important because it just looks like a shark that ate a scuba diver.
It's f***ing amazing after all these people come to the island to hunt down the shark and the media frenzy that occurs, that people don't decide not to go to Amity this summer no matter what happens. I mean, publicity-wise, this town is already f***ed.
Mayor Vaughn proudly advertises that the shark is dead after the fishermen catch the faker.
I'm pleased and happy to repeat the news that we have in fact caught and killed a large predator that supposedly injured some bathers.
This would likely calm people down. Also, there's more to do in Amity besides swimming. There's likely shops, landmarks, and family to visit.
Lots of stupid and drunk people drive their inadequate boats in the water looking for a man-eating shark, and somehow there are no deaths or injuries.
Despite being an animal, Bruce is shown to be somewhat intelligent. So he likely knows not to go after a group of fishing boats.
$8,000 divided 4 ways is...
I'm not sure if you can hear it, but some guy on one of these boats just asked what $8,000 divided by 4 is. And that guy is definitely not qualified to be out here. Not because of his terrible math skills, but because he waited until now to even ask this.
He actually said $3,000.
$8,000 divided 4 ways is what?
This was in reference to the bounty Miss Kittner put out. Since 3 is an odd number, it's harder to divide $3,000 by 4 off the top of your head. Especially in the 70s when people didn't have calculators in their pockets at all times. The answer is $750 if anyone's wondering. Which is $4,379.76 in 2024. As for why the fisherman didn't add this up earlier, it's possible that he did and he just forgot the answer.
They caught a shark, not the shark. Not the shark that killed Chrissy Watkins.
By the way, did Chrissy's family ever show up to ask about her? She was pretty young and probably had a family, right? Or was she just one of those mystical fairies that show up at parties beckoning drunk guys to swim naked with them?
The actress, named Susan Backlini, was 28 at the time of filming, so it's entirely possible she lived by herself and had no immediate family. At least family that she's on good terms with. But let's say she did have a family. They probably came to Amity to grieve and then found out about the shark situation like everyone else. We just didn't see that because it's not important to the story. Now is a good time to mention that Susan Backlini died in May of this year. May she rest in peace.
Just like I thought. I came up with the Gulf Stream from southern waters.
A Louisiana license plate does not prove the shark came from southern waters. Last time I checked, people of all sorts of states drive their cars into other states.
It's still uncommon for a car with a Louisiana license plate to be anywhere near Amity, which is in the north, presumably. Think about it. If you wanted to vacation to Amity, and you lived in Louisiana, wouldn't it make more sense to take a plane instead of driving there? Also, it's not just the license plate. The shark is also a tiger shark.
A what?
Which are often found in southern waters. The license plate, the type of shark, the rarity of sharks in Amity, and the fact that Alex Kittner's body is not inside the shark altogether is what led Hooper to believe it came from southern waters.
Also, if this shark really did swallow this license plate in southern waters and then went north, how did it not expel this thing one way or the other during the time it took to get to Amity? I mean, yeah, I get it, this isn't the shark, but come on, man of science, some of these are bad deductions.
We don't know when the shark ate this license plate. It could have eaten it the previous night and was killed before it could have digested it.
Come on, man, you stare at the dead guy for 5 seconds and then you react and drop all your I mean, it would have made sense if it happened right here, but you looked at it for hours before dropping the evidence.
Some people react to situations differently. Freezing for a moment before fleeing is actually a common response to danger.
Where is that tooth?
This guy believes that two qualified people would bother to tell him the shark's still out there with absolutely no motive to lie about it. And even if the mayor saw this tooth, would that even make a difference? And this guy still has anchors sewn into his suit, my god.
The mayor believes Brody and Hooper, but he also knows they don't have any proof of a living shark. Meaning, to the public, he doesn't have enough reason to close the beaches.
Those proportions are correct.
Love to prove that, wouldn't you? Get your name into the National Geographic.
Yeah, but he only gets his name in there if he proves the shark is there, not by making up a story so he can kill a whole town's tourism industry.
Yeah, which is why he said that?
But those beaches will be open for this weekend.
It is now officially astounding that Brody doesn't do more at this point, like call the Coast Guard or the national media. Yeah, he might be out of a job here in Amity, but does he really need this job? Can't he find some other sleepy town to sheriff?
Brody does do more. The mayor allows him to hire people to watch for sharks under the condition that the beaches will remain open with swimming allowed.
Now, if you fellas are concerned about the beaches, you do whatever you have to make them safe. But those beaches will be open for this weekend.
One thing I've always wondered, have these assholes somehow not heard about the shark attacks? It's one thing for the town to fight over keeping the beaches open, but the real problem should be that after one or two shark attacks, absolutely no one would be coming to these beaches.
They probably also heard reports of the shark being killed. The mayor definitely made sure that was spread around. Also, there's more to do at a beach besides swimming. You can tan, build sand castles, play some sports, or just enjoy the atmosphere.
One family braves the waters, and everyone who was scared before decides to go in without trepidation.
Peer pressure.
Seriously, how did these kids not get shot? Even a little bit.
Trigger discipline.
And after 10 seconds of contemplation, these people finally realize that these kids are not a shark.
Or they were putting their weapons away slowly to avoid accidentally setting them off.
Does anybody have a gun?
You may not have heard it, but someone's yelling, "Does anybody have a gun?" Amazingly, this is America and no one does.
Damn it, that made me laugh.
You screw around with these tanks and they're gonna blow up.
That's some nice foreshadowing there, Lou. Nice foreshadowing.
This isn't foreshadowing. This is a Chekhov's gun. It sets up the tanks for later so that we're not confused when they become important and when they explode when Brody shoots at them. Which I know isn't how it works in real life, but it's fiction.
This movie is spectacular when it comes to suspense. I mean, virtually nothing of note happens in this scene, but the sin counter refused to poke me with a stick like it usually does when it's time to write something. It's setting things up for later, it's masterfully done, and it's why we love the movie.
Yep.
With so few chances to actually hit this shark when it surfaces, why not attach a second barrel to the harpoon rope? Or hell, even 3. The shark is plenty big enough to take them down, so what's with this one-at-a-time bullshit?
The harpoon might only have the strength to hold one barrel. The answer was Finding Dory. This video was released in the summer of 2016, around the time Finding Dory was released. I guess they're both about ocean creatures? Let's be honest, Cinemasins just really wanted to talk about Jaws, which is understandable, it's a great movie. Anyway, time for a short story. Remember this scene from Jaws? Well, in this scene, there's a bridge in the background. This bridge is one of many Jaws tourist destinations in Martha's Vineyard, which is where the movie was filmed. Often you will find people jumping from it. They made a shirt for it and everything. Well, I went to Martha's Vineyard and jumped from it multiple times. After the final time, I attempted to come back to shore by climbing these rocks. On my way up, I slipped, fell, scraped my knee, and broke my wrist. I had to bike to the hotel one-handed. My wrist is fine now. Also, by some weird coincidence, this was also in the summer of 2016. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and Freddy Fazbear.